If you're watching your LinkedIn likes and engagement and wondering where all the clients are, maybe you are getting likes or maybe aren't getting likes, then this episode is for you. Because one of the biggest traps I see coaches fall into all of the time is confusing that ego driven attention, which we all seek, with actual real traction and clients in your business, because they are not the same thing. I am Jo Lott and I help coaches build profitable businesses with honesty, not hype. I run my business in school hours in term time, and I care more about paying the mortgage than looking really impressive online. Today, I want to talk about the lie that keeps a lot of great coaches stuck, and that's the idea that likes equal success. I've received an email from someone recently who gets 2,000 plus likes on her post and wanted support in turning those likes into clients. So you may assume that somebody with that many likes would automatically have a really full roster. Whereas some of my other clients who may have 3 or 4 likes on a post may be fully booked. So it's really hard, and we all want that thrill of people liking our stuff, but don't feel like you have to back out and don't feel like that is the absolute driver of a business, because it really isn't. This person that contacted me is not the only one. I was also part of a LinkedIn accelerator in 2025, and people in that group all had huge followings and masses of likes, and mostly had no business yet. So sometimes the posts that actually make you money are the ones that nobody likes. So, for example, if you're putting a post out there about your offer, your program, very rarely are people going to like that post, because they think, my gosh, like, I don't want to like this because then they might message me and say, hey, I saw you liked my post. Are you interested in my program? The people that are actually going to buy from you also very rarely like your post because of that exact same thing. So most people don't want that spotlight. They don't want you to know they might be interested in working with you. So they quietly read your posts, they think, they maybe save it, they come back later, they keep reading your posts over many, many months, sometimes years. And finally, they might message you quietly. So, if your ego is in charge of your LinkedIn strategy, today we are going to get to the bottom of it and make huge progress. So, let's cover the mistakes first in case you are making these. So, what I notice mostly is giving up too early. So, maybe you start posting, you get a good response because if you're new to posting, your friends, your family, your ex colleagues might like your stuff. They think, wow, this is amazing. This person's gone. They're starting their business. That's so inspiring. You think to yourself, this is easy. This is working. And then maybe you listen to somebody like me who suggests that you start speaking directly to your ideal client. Maybe then your posts will get more specific. The tone will shift directly to problem solving content or educational content or promotional content, and your likes will start to drop off. And so you panic and you go back to telling people what you did at the weekend, or back to just doing introduce yourself posts, or kind of things that will gain traction, like a post about you and what you do will gain traction. But what I'm saying here is that it won't always gain clients. If you're posting things about you, then everybody can like that, your friends, your colleagues, your family. But if you're posting directly to your ideal client, then obviously those people can't really like your post because they probably don't resonate with what you're saying, because it's not written to be resonated with by them. So it's those awkward posts where you don't get the likes, you don't get the thrill, but what you might get is money in the bank. if you can hold your nerve and not regress back too soon to only putting out posts that are going to gain you lots and lots of likes and engagement. That gap is really hard. And that's why working in a community like my clients do is really useful, because you know that everybody's going through this. And you also might start to get their support as well, because they know that it's really hard putting out posts with no one liking them or engaging with them. LinkedIn has been where I've grown my business, and that's through executive coaching, career coaching, and now business coaching. I was quite lucky to do a 5-day challenge by Helen Pritchard. I think she's called Helen Tudor now. And she asked us to change our headline and to put posts out and all these things that I literally was incapable of doing at the time. It probably took months to eventually get the courage up to implement some of those things from the challenge. In other words, change my headline and put some posts out and hit connect to people on LinkedIn that I didn't know. Ever since then, I have made it my non-negotiable to grow my LinkedIn audience deliberately every single month. It's not something that I just do when I feel like it. I have put systems in place that this is done, and I'm actively growing my audience without fail. I'm measuring my numbers, so I actually get a thrill of seeing those numbers increase, which helps become that self-fulfilling prophecy where I'm excited to grow my LinkedIn again. Taking this approach meant when I was doing career coaching, many people said to me, I just typed career coach in the search bar and you were the top one. So I thought, you must be good because you're at the top of the search bar. That was generally probably because I was super active, posting every day and commenting, engaging, giving basically to the LinkedIn algorithm what it wanted. And therefore it rewarded me in return. Things have become more difficult on LinkedIn since those days when I was doing career coaching 5 or 6 years ago now. And what I would do differently if I was starting out today, given the times have changed and it's not quite the gold mine it used to be, is really treat LinkedIn as what I call shallow content. Essentially, a second of someone's attention as they're scrolling through their phone, bored, out of their mind, looking for something to entertain them. Now, whilst it's useful for them to see your post in their feed, even if they don't read it because they're scrolling quickly, it still helps them remember who you are and occasionally maybe read your posts. But any social platform is really hard to build a proper, deep relationship. That is why I also suggest that you have a deep nurture strategy. So you have somewhere to direct people from that social platform so then they actually can get to know you when they're not bored out of their minds, sitting on the sofa looking for a distraction. They can actually listen to your podcast, read your blog, sign up for your newsletter, sign up for your lead magnet, maybe come to a workshop you're running, some other place where they're actually in a completely different headspace and can actually get to know you. There's research showing that, well, actually, there's so much research, it changes every day. But I think the last one I read was that people generally need 7 hours with you to know you enough to buy from you. So if you think about all of those 0.5 of a seconds that you might get their attention on LinkedIn, it's going to take a really long time to get to 7 hours of them seeing and being with you. Whereas if you can direct them to a podcast like this or a newsletter where they're reading for maybe 5 minutes versus seeing your post for a second, then you are going to get to that 7 hours much quicker than someone who is just using social media. So LinkedIn's real job is not really to fully convince someone to buy from you. Its job is for someone that maybe knows you to go check out what you're doing and see that you're talking about relevant stuff to them. It's also somewhere which I call the top of your funnel. In other words, bringing in a massive load of people into your world so that slowly, slowly you can invite people to take that next step with you. For some of them, that will be great and they want to take that next step. For others, they're not ready yet. I use the example often of being unhappy in your career. So if you're a career coach, You need a lot of people to be in your audience to find that top 3% who are actually ready to change career now. Because if you're anything like me, you may be sat at your desk miserable for many, many years just because you saw someone's post saying that you could be happy in your career. It might not have been the right time for you to actually leave that job. The only time it was right for me to leave that job was when I actively had to leave because my daughter was starting school and I could no longer get to and from London and do the school drop and the nursery job. So at that point, you would have wanted to keep me in your world, kind of quietly thinking I'm unhappy in my job. And finally, it's the right time for me to think, do you know what? I'm actually ready to work with a coach and make this happen now. And so keep people in your world, nurture them until they are ready to buy. One thing I haven't utilized on LinkedIn, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't, is sending masses of cold DMs and follow ups to get people on calls. I do think it can be effective, but it depends on your style, your niche, and finding great phrasing that works for you. I have upped my game a little bit from there though, because I do think you need to. So now when someone connects with me or I connect with them, I do send a message saying, it's great to connect, look forward to seeing your content and supporting you on LinkedIn. And due to some of my amazing clients doing similar and inspiring me, because I learn so much from them, as hopefully they do from me every single day, I've now braved it and included my lead magnet link in that email welcoming people into my world. I do think you need the right kind of lead magnet to do that so you don't feel spammy and so they don't think you're spammy. So, for example, I would never send my 12 ways to get clients now lead magnet because it would just feel presumptuous, I think. And I just wouldn't want people to say, excuse me, I've already got enough clients. Thank you. I didn't ask for that. Whereas what I do luckily have is a 2026 coaches planner, which is genuinely useful for everyone who's planning their year and everyone throughout the year, in all honesty, because the coaches planner is exceptional as a free lead magnet. It should honestly be paid. And I created it initially as a paid lead magnet and then chose to use it to build my list instead. So it feels great to share it. People reply saying, thank you so much. So it's about finding that right way in and a way that you feel aligned with. So here is my final truth today, that posting alone is really slow. You might get a client here and there. You might occasionally have a good month, but building a proper business really needs LinkedIn to just be part of your ecosystem. So when someone finds my posts, for example, I want them to think, finally, someone helpful, someone honest, someone not pretending it's easy, but also not saying it's impossible. Yes, it takes work to grow a business. Yes, you have to market yourself. Yes, you have to show up. I won't pretend that you can have tons of clients and do absolutely zero work like lots of other people may do on LinkedIn, because that's not my experience. You don't need the hype and you do need to put in effort. And that is the type of person I want to attract into my world. Someone who wants to put the work in and wants to build a real business. So have a think about what type of content, what type of person you are trying to attract into your ecosystem. If LinkedIn feels exhausting for you right now, then ask yourself, are you chasing likes or are you building relationships? Are you trying to look good or are you trying to be useful for one specific kind of person? Perhaps changing their day to day and helping them feel seen, heard, and understood, even if they don't like your post. Maybe they'll go into that meeting and hold their head just a tiny bit higher. And are you hoping that LinkedIn will magically create all of the business that you want? Or are you inviting people somewhere deeper into your world? Those answers may help you figure out why LinkedIn may feel the way it does at the moment. So remember, and I remind myself often, that LinkedIn is not there to flatter us, to boost our ego. Most social media is never going to do that. Even if you become an influencer and get loads of likes, guess what? There'll always be someone who's getting more. So likes and engagement might feel nice, but clients can genuinely change your life. So push through that awkward moment when no one's liking your post. Think about your next place that you are inviting people to and keep showing up for your ideal client. If you'd like my support in doing this, then you'll find the link to the Business of Coaching program in the show notes. The majority of my clients use LinkedIn to grow their business. Yes, some use Instagram as well, but I would say 90% plus use LinkedIn. So we all put a huge focus on this and share our learnings every step of the way in order to all grow super successful businesses. And like I say at the end of every episode, trust yourself, believe in yourself, and be the wise gardener who keeps on watering the seed. I have a mass of free resources on my website, joannalottcoaching.com. That's Joanna with an A and Lott with 2 T's, joannalottcoaching.com. Remember to trust yourself, believe in yourself, and be the wise gardener who keeps on watering the seed. Get into the arena, dare greatly, and try.